it's not just Elizabeth, but Nathan and Allie are there, and Charlotte's there, and then the whole town really is there. I love him running to the phone like he's literally out of breath. Elizabeth is coming from it from a place of joy. Hyland completely just knocked it out of the park. But I just wish that I could live like Florence for like a day, like all the moments you've been waiting for.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Heart Emotion podcast. I'm so excited to welcome back. This is the third time to the
Yeah,
podcast.
yeah. Thanks for
Welcome
having me
back,
again.
Allie
Am I
Devereaux.
hopefully doing
Welcome
something
back.
right? Yeah, yeah.
You always do great things, especially when we're talking about the Hearties. You're a self-proclaimed Heartie.
I am. Yeah.
And so I think it's very interesting that you ended up with episode 9, which I'm so excited to talk about. How did you inherit episode 9? Is it because of your rich knowledge of Hardy Land?
Yes, that's what I know. That's why I got it. That was part of the call. You're gonna come and do this episode, and this is what's happening. And yeah, so totally. And in some ways, I was like, yes, like it's gonna be me. And then I said this elsewhere, but it's true. I was like, once I started having like pick memories and stuff, I was like, why did they pick me? This is so hard. There's too many. So a blessing and a curse.
So many, I mean, when you're dealing with 13 seasons and you've got to figure out how to, pare it down to these amazing moments, I can imagine how difficult it must have been to figure out what are those key things that have to
Yeah,
be, in that memory hunt and scattered throughout the episode. So,
yeah, totally. Yep.
all right, so let's just dig right in. Last time we visited, I kind of threw some quotes at you and we talked about those. This time I thought we'd just kind of walk through the episode because the story was just so amazing. First of all, your reaction, you've seen some of the fan reaction to the episode last night. What was your take on how fans responded to it?
It was just it's always exciting. Like you always kind of like put it out into the world and you're like, I hope that they like it and that it, is everything they hoped it would be. And like I said, we had to pare everything down. So make sure that you get moments that feel like they are, relatable to the OG Hardys that have been there since the beginning and but also like the newer Hardys that have come along the way, that they can still feel excited and included and that it's still moving the story forward. So it was really nice to see people connecting to it and liking the episode and feeling like it did those things for them because that's all we want. So then I was like, okay, I accomplished my mission.
The first time I watched it, I think I cried. Vulnerable moment, guys. I think I cried like 3 different times.
Wow.
And I sometimes I will watch the episode with friends virtually, and we
Mhm.
will actually talk about it in between commercials, and they're going to hate me for this. But we did that last night, and I looked over a few moments and I just saw just like the emotion. And so, goodness sakes, what an episode! What an
If
episode.
I can do it to my mom, I watch it with my mom and my sister and my dad too, virtually. And if I always look at my mom to see her reactions, and if she laughs or I want her to laugh, she cries where she's supposed to cry, then I'm like, okay, okay, they did it.
Did you watch this one with your mom?
I did, yeah, yeah. And yeah. She told me that it was her favorite of the ones that I've done. So that was special to me.
I mean, you've had some pretty amazing opportunities to do the birthday parties.
Motherless
But
Mother was a big one too. Yeah.
yeah. Oh, goodness sakes. Man, wow. Yeah, this one was pretty spectacular. So, yeah.
I felt like an honor from her. And I'm really grateful to Joy and the team for coming together with me and letting me shepherd it. And yeah, it was really just an awesome episode. I'm really
I
grateful.
guarantee it'll be watched over and over again by many times over by people. So, yeah, especially at the end of the season, I could see people really going back and spending some time with this episode just because of just so many. This was an episode where there was so many subtle movements moving forward. I felt like if people were really just like zoned in on it. So let's dig in.
Yep.
Back in episode 5, we get a little hint from little Jack that maybe he's feeling, LJ is what we should call him now, right? That he's feeling a
Mhm.
bit disconnected from his dad. So why was this point in the season the right moment to explore that loss directly?
Yeah. Well, when we were talking about it, we kind of, it just felt like the natural time. Like because LJ, we're seeing he wants to be LJ. He's growing. He's kind of starting to come into his own and who he is and as a person and feeling his own sense of identity for the first time. Like he's at that age where kids kind of start to be their own little person. But it also means he's kind of like old enough to sort of feel the weight of what it means to have lost his dad and you know, so it's all those little things are starting to kind of build up through the seasons. We're seeing him kind of come into his own. But it's also kind of the perfect time to explore it because we're surrounding him with the support system he needs to be able to process it. So, it's not just Elizabeth, but Nathan and Allie are there and Charlotte's there and then the whole town really is there to support him. So it's the perfect storm. It just felt like, of course, the right time because we knew he would be able to be emotionally supported through it. And that's the only way we wanted to show it.
There's an early moment where they're all sitting doing maybe like a picnic type thing. And we
Hmm.
see that LJ, he's down looking for the medal. And I love that LJ in that moment trusts Mountie Nathan to tell him that he's lost the medal. So was this episode designed not to just connect LJ to the memory of his dad, but also make those additional connections to Nathan?
Oh yeah, like 100%. It's, about the father figure, obviously, that LJ lost in Jack Sr., but also kind of showing the one he's gaining in Nathan. So that was, yeah, intentional right from the beginning. Also, Nathan is kind of the perfect person to sort of fill in that role for him because he understands it. He raised Allie. When Allie came to live with Nathan when she lost her mom and her dad was gone, she was younger than little Jack is right now.
Mhm.
So he's kind of been through this, and now she's like a young woman. She's almost an adult, and so he's kind of been through the whole thing with her. So this is something he understands and he gets, and he's kind of been through with Allie. So, yeah, he's kind of the perfect person to do that with for little Jack. And so it's just one of the many ways he can show up for him as this figure, this parental figure.
Yeah. And it's been fun looking back now, as long as Nathan and Allie have been in Hope Valley, to watch even Nathan kind of become that better parent who was
Yeah,
maybe a little bit unsure. And now we see this. I mean, he's still always, between him and Elizabeth, going to need each other through
yeah,
different situations. But to know that we've got this confident father now who
yeah.
can fill in that role and has been there and knows it.
Yeah. And yeah, we saw him sort of learn it in some ways the hard way with Allie as she was learning, but he can kind of step in and know how to gracefully take LJ through it as well.
Yeah. So early on in the episode, we also have Lucas, and he gets a little bit of another shot to do the right thing. And he jumps on it immediately, like literally jumps on
Hmm.
it immediately. So, would you say that this was about Edie? Is it about his position as governor, or maybe a combination of both?
I think it's about Lucas. It's about him sort of figuring out who he is. And like Edie, like the growing sort of relationship with Edie has allowed him. I think we talked about this last time I was on here, the
Hmm.
sort of North Star. This is
Yeah.
kind of how it's like she's showing him the person he wants to be. And so now he's sort of realized, okay, these are the mistakes I've made, and this is how I prove it. This is how I show up. And I love him running to the phone, like he's literally out of breath. Like when
Yeah.
he picks it up for like the first like couple exchanges, he's still out of breath because he's like, I know it's important. I made a promise. I want to keep my promise. I want to show up. I want to be there. And we saw him kind of falter with that early on in the season, and that's not who he wants to be. And so I think it's about Lucas sort of figuring out who he is, and Edie is helping him do that.
Florence, in her own
I love
special
it.
Florence way, drops the number. And I'm just laughing, going, no, you don't do that. You don't just give somebody's number away. But Florence gives the number away. And we find her eavesdropping on the call, classic Florence. So, beyond comedy, what role was she playing in this storyline?
Well, okay, so like from the beginning of the season, we are talking about Edie. We really wanted at the beginning to kind of show her more integrated into the town, sort of show what the summer has done with like making her feel like a real resident of Hope Valley. And we did see it in the premiere when she's like kind of gabbing, but commiserating sort of with the
Yeah.
girls about, including Florence, kind of about her Lucas woes and how the summer was. And since then, like we saw Florence, and once Florence has a little bit,
Oh yeah.
she's going to be invested.
Oh
So
yeah.
we were working in the center. We're like, since then, Florence is in. She's invested. She's locked in on this. So, and I mean, are you really a Hope Valley resident if Florence isn't in your business? I don't think. I think that's when you're officially a resident. So I think she's kind of showing up in her own way for Edie. So even by forwarding the number, she's trying to do her girl a favor, I
I
think.
love it. I love
Yeah.
it. And most of the time it works out really well. So
Yeah. Yes. When we first talked about it, and we were saying, maybe it was Florence that did it. And I think it was Joy who had the idea that she's like, I think she'd be curious. Like, could she listen? And I'm like, if anyone could, it's her. Yeah.
yeah.
So yeah. Yeah.
Did you guys have any conversations about it feeling like Harriet Olsen on Little House on the Prairie?
Yes, because Rory, one of our writers, Rory too, loves Little House on the Prairie. So
Yes.
yes, we do. We had a couple talks about kind of some. We had a couple references this year that were little nods as well.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah. I think several Hearties picked up on that.
yeah,
And of course, I had to go back growing up watching that show, and I was like, oh, there it is right there. So,
hmm
but we like Florence a whole lot better than
yeah.
Harriet
Most
Olsen.
because Florence is it's just the right reason.
From the, yeah,
She's a busybody with heart.
from a good place, from a good
Yeah,
place.
yeah.
So when Edie tells Lucas that she wouldn't have taken the opportunity if it weren't for his honesty, which I love that about her, she will just, for the most part, say it like it is with him.
hmm
It feels loaded. What were you setting out to explore in their relationship in this episode?
Yeah. So I mean, I think everybody can sort of agree they haven't really had the best timing through the season. Like they keep missing each other. They're just one of them needs the other one to come, and they just sort of don't quite get there. Um, so they're sort of being tested a bit right now with distance choices, and we're putting them in situations where they're proving to each other and themselves what they want. So I think that's where they're at. That like they were faced with a lot of choices early on, and now those were tests, and they've learned. They've studied. Now it's the final. We're coming up to the final exam, I think. Yeah,
Hopefully they pass the test, right?
yeah. I have to
So
watch
they
3 episodes.
we'll have to watch. So they make this shift quickly back into business mode, which I think, that is what brought them together, and that's what they
Yeah.
really value and appreciate about each other. But when they go to hang up and watching her mannerisms, it's almost like there's still this like excitement that he made the call, but he seems a bit defeated because he didn't quite get exactly what he was hoping for. So was that contrast? And I mean, depending on what you write down and then how they interpret it when you saw that, can you talk about how that played out there at the end and was that intentional?
I think so. Yeah, I sort of felt with that scene, it was a little bit like in Lucas is wondering in that moment if all was lost.
Yeah.
But Edie wondered that at the end of the last episode, at the end of episode 8. So she was sort of stuck there at the end of 8, and then he called. So she's like once like, oh, and that's what he didn't do in the summer. So it's like there is a shift, there's a turn. It's a small turn, but for Edie, it's a turn.
Yeah.
So, I don't know if she's quite ready to fully trust it yet,
Trust
but
that.
it
Yeah.
is, it is a turn for her. So that's why I think there's like a slight difference. That's how I felt at least about the scene.
Yeah.
So
And it's
yeah,
like you said, it's like she's here and then he's here and then she's here
yeah,
and then he's here. And we just need to get him here, right?
yes, exactly. Yeah, yeah. Hurry up.
Come on. All right. So back to the medal story. When the
Mhm.
medal goes missing and Hyland is distraught, what were those conversations in the writer's room about how Elizabeth would process that loss with where she is right now?
Yeah. So, I mean, from every conversation, we knew that any conversation, like any discussion, any memory of Jack Sr. is going to affect both of them, um, because, they both lost him. And Elizabeth, yes, like she has moved on. She has like a new partner that she loves and trusts, but that doesn't mean that she didn't lose her husband and that she's not a widow. Grieving doesn't really end, it just kind of changes form. So, with this, you can kind of see that like Elizabeth is coming from it from a place of joy. Like it's um like a so it's like grateful. She's happy. She's thankful for these memories that she has and this time she had and this son that she has from Jack Sr. So yeah, it was like about she is at that place where she can feel the joy in the grief.
Hmm.
So like in the joy and the loss. So I think that's where we're at with her and just really wanted to show that in those moments. So even the memory hunt, everything, even though it's comes from like a loss, which is feels sad, it still is light and happy and fun and can be in that way. So yeah, that's what we were trying to do with it and yeah, trying to show with Elizabeth.
It was so interesting to watch how Aaron played that because it was not over or anything like that. There
Yeah,
was just this subtle peace within her and
yeah,
just in the moment, just sitting in those moments. And you could just really tell that Elizabeth had healed from so much of what she had experienced through that loss.
yeah. It's like the pain of the loss has like like dimmed and dulled. So now she can feel the joy of all the other moments because really that loss is just one moment of their time together, and it's huge and sad and happened so early. Like they were married only such a short time, so sad. But she's not stuck in that. She's like remembering all these good times and being able to share that with LJ.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a great interaction between Nathan and Bill where Nathan talks to him about LJ carrying the weight of losing his dad. And Bill reminds him once again that showing up for Elizabeth and LJ is what really matters. It's not the first time that we have heard Bill give him that advice. So, can you talk about the decision to bring that back up in this episode?
Yeah, so we were talking about Bill, and we don't always kind of get into it in the show, but um, Bill does have his own history with his own late son Martin. We learned about him in season two, and it kind of mirrors it a bit because it's revealed then that Bill wasn't Martin's biological father, but he was still Martin's dad right from the beginning because that his son never knew his biological dad. His dad was gone,
Yeah.
so it was only Bill that showed up. So he's also kind of been in these shoes. Um, and he's kind of passing that wisdom along to Nathan in a way that sort of says, without like unloading anything heavy, just sort of says, like, I've been there, I know, let me guide you. So when you're having this moment where you're faltering of what to do, I'm helping you because I'm even like farther ahead, farther removed from it, and I can guide you. And
Hmm.
like that's what makes him just such a good friend and mentor to
Mentor.
Nathan.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. This is why Allie wrote this episode, everybody, because you mentioned at the beginning, we have Hearties that have watched it from the beginning, and we have Hearties that have came on, mid seasons. But
hmm,
those little details, remembering that Bill, had
yeah,
that history is something that I think several listening probably don't even realize. So that is
yeah.
very important to remember.
Yeah, and just yeah, and we don't like again, we don't need to say it, but when you know the history, the
Mhm.
context is in there. And even if you don't know the history, you can feel the weight of it, the weight of the
Absolutely.
history. Yeah.
Yeah. So we love seeing the students back involved
Hmm.
in designing the schoolhouse. And it paired really nicely with LJ's storyline. Can you share about bringing that schoolhouse design and LJ's storyline together?
Yeah, this is so fun. I've talked about this before too, but it's really cool. Like this is one of those things that we kind of had the rebuild and like the story of the schoolhouse before the memory hunt was solidified. Because we were sort of this was like we were toying with this idea, but we didn't know exactly what Brooke's schedule was going to be, so what episode she'd be in and how that would work.
Yeah.
Um, so they weren't originally connected, but obviously, as soon as we start talking about building the school, we talk about the building of the like Jack Thornton, Hope Valley School, and then we talk about Jack and Lee, and so that memory was already coming up to all of us, and then we're like, as soon as all of this landed in one episode, it sort of felt like kismet because it's like, oh,
Absolutely.
like this is how it
You
was
have it.
supposed to be.
Yeah.
But it wasn't in a weird way. It wasn't originally plotted that way. It was like plotted through the season, and then it just kind of came together in the perfect little storm for this episode.
And then watching LJ when he is just has his hands and he's tracing.
I know.
I'm like, oh my goodness.
It's so, and Hyland just plays it so well too. It's like so quiet. It's such a quiet little
Mhm.
moment,
Mhm.
but it's just like him touching something that his dad brought that now he's standing in and feels this pride in it. And yeah, I think it's, yeah, I love that moment. And I love the way Martin Wood, the director, he shot it and really, it's just like one little line in the script and he just made like such a real moment, like emotional moment with it. And just, it was so good. Yeah.
So good. So you mentioned the memory hunt, and it feels like that it serves multiple purposes. It definitely feels like there's several things that are subtly being pushed forward with the storylines this season. So what were your primary goals in creating this memory hunt and bringing Jack back up?
Yeah, I think the number one goal was obviously a family story for Elizabeth, Nathan, LJ, Allie, and Charlotte, and kind of sort of stating the place that everyone in that family has as like family figures for LJ and LJ's life, and but also including Jack Sr. in that too, and how his memory and his legacy can also be part of that because it's obviously going to be part of it with him being his biological dad and Charlotte, and just seeing that all these people can kind of exist together in this sort of like beautiful little huddle around LJ, and that they'll all be there for him as he grows and as he needs them. So, kind of just having a story that really just hits that and says, just kind of states where it is and how they do it, and sort of showing little pieces of each of them in his life. Um, and then I think the other goal, of course, was like a little walk down memory lane for the Hearties who have been here since the start. Just like a nice little reminder of how far we've come in the series, and just little reminders of, and like even with Gowan, like you think about who Gowan was when we started the show versus the Henry Gowan we know now. So yeah, just little call outs in that way for those that have been here since the beginning.
Okay, so let's talk about deciding what is going to go in this memory hunt, who LJ is going to interact with. Just the way that it was woven together was just amazing. And so I imagine that had to be really difficult to figure out what was going to end up in that final cut of this episode.
Yes, it was like I said, in some ways it sort of felt like a blessing and a curse when because there were so many memories. And I think we all, everyone in the writers' room kind of came together with some of their favorite moments, and it was like a really long list that we sort of just kind of had to pare down thematically and see, who we could kind of fit together, where it could go, and who we needed to kind of hit these little moments, which memories best represented that. And so yeah, it was hard. Like it was hard in the way that we had Paul Redford, who used to write on the show, he always talked about our embarrassment of riches
Yeah.
on the show. And it was that. It was like we had so much that we could pick from. So it was a little bit of like, I want that one, but I only have 42 minutes. So um yeah, so having to pick what exactly worked for LJ. But it was really nice. It was a nice walk down memory lane for us too, of what all the stories we kind of got to about each character that interacted with Jack and who was in town and what happened when. And so, yeah, it was like a nice little refresher for us as well. Even if it was hard and painful to cut memories, because sometimes you're like, oh, I really love that moment, but it just it doesn't fit right now. So,
Is there something that you really wanted to be in there that you're like, when it all came down to it, you couldn't do it?
yeah, I did really want Opal. The moment with Opal, we had one written, but um, she had to. She also had to be obviously in the school story as well. So
Yeah.
just making sure when we were picking the time and what the timeline would be, she had to also be doing that other storyline.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it didn't quite fit, and so it made sense to cut it. But just having a kid that had interacted with Jack would I really wanted to do that, but um, we just didn't have the time, and so that was one moment that I do kind of like I did miss that was a hard cut, but I understand why
Yeah.
we had to do it, and it made sense, yeah, so that
Yeah.
we could have her in that other storyline too, which I really loved that other storyline for her as well. So,
Well, and you mentioned Martin's moment, the moment between Henry and LJ. And I'm like, I don't know how Martin does it. It's just
so
like,
good.
just such a simple moment, but just the way that he, touches him on the head and just just brings him in, and I'm
Everything
like,
feels so natural. It just feels like sometimes when I watch like some of the Gowan scenes, I feel like I'm eavesdropping.
yeah, oh
Like it
yeah,
just feels like he's in this, it's like this quiet moment, and it's something about I think his nature and the way
yeah.
he's talking that you feel like you're like in there, that you're like, oh, this is like a private conversation that I don't think I should be hearing. No, I wrote it.
Such a good way to put that, but you're right. I mean, he just like sucks you in, and it's not
Yeah.
dramatic. It's just,
It's a
and
really quiet power, but it's
it really is.
powerful. But
Really is.
it's power in the quiet.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Bill and Faith in that kind of memory hunt, um, I noticed that and maybe it started earlier, but I really picked up on it with Bill's response to LJ and Dr. Carter's response, and how it's not just about memories of his dad, but they really start talking about how those are characteristics and traits that LJ has as well. So was moving from remembrance to identity central to the message?
Yeah, you totally got it. Because like we wanted to sort of show like this is actually how LJ gets to carry Jack with him, like, and how he honors his dad is like by keeping these great qualities that they shared. Like it's just a way when he's like, I wish I could have known my dad. Then they are like, you do know your dad. Like you have all these parts of him in you, that little parts, there's little parts of that make you you that are also your dad. And it allows that so that when Charlotte's finally talking with little Jack about being the metal, he can believe it because he now sees those pieces. So it's all kind of leading towards that.
Elizabeth even makes a comment. She has a great line where she says that one person can impact so many lives and how incredible that is. And we are able to see Jack's influence on Henry, on the community. So why was it important to like widen Jack's legacy beyond just the family?
I think, one of the great things and like why like we as Hearties, I feel this way. You're like, I wish I could go to Hope Valley. Like I wish I was part of this community. Is that like everyone in the community is kind of family in their own sorts, They just they've been through so much together, but they just keep showing up for each other. And so they're kind of sort of highlighting that bit because little Jack is kind of like that. Like he is sort of like a kid of the whole town. And we saw it when he was, struggling with his diabetes and his health issues last year. And they all came together in the baseball game and everyone came together to get him his insulin. And it's, it's kind of showing that it's highlighting that they all show up for each other. And that's where they're all family to each other. So of course they're all impacted by each other and highlighting that that's important for little Jack to continue that as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We also get a great moment where, as the family is walking away from Henry, it's Nathan who thanks Henry for talking with LJ, even before he and Elizabeth are married. And we've seen that a few times where Nathan has already kind of stepped into that role of
Hmm.
being the leader of the family, and later he even tells LJ that he will always be there for him. Is this episode defining what kind of father and husband Nathan intends to be?
I think you could sort of, yeah, I think you could kind of define it that way. Like it's this important step that they have sort of before committing to that next step of marriage and completely blending their families, that just seeing how each other fit in their families. Like they're just, it's like these reassuring moments that are just showing like how these kids that are so important to Elizabeth and Nathan, how the other person sort of fits in like a perfect puzzle piece to
Hmm.
make this family. And I think it is important to show that Elizabeth and Nathan are aware of that and have these moments before they make this huge commitment of blending their families.
Yeah.
So this is sort of a moment that really highlights that and solidifies it for them.
So we haven't really talked about Brooke Shields being back in Hope Valley as Charlotte Thornton in this episode. And we know we've seen the previews that she's going to be back for episode
Mhm.
10 as well. Nathan reaches out to Charlotte and asks her to come to Hope Valley. Why was bringing her back to Hope Valley really important now?
Well, I mean, I was so excited that Charlotte was going to be back this season. It was just like, yeah, when they were like, yes, it's happening. my gosh.
Yeah.
And um
And I get to
but
write for her.
yes, I mean amazing. And also just like even even as like a fan of Charlotte, like as the character,
Yeah.
like what Brooke brought to Charlotte in season three, she's just this powerhouse character
Yeah.
that's so cool and like comes like rides in on this like horse and then is just yeah, she's just like this really amazing character that knows who she is. And I was like so excited that she was going to be back. But she, you know, she's Jack's mom. She's that blood connection that LJ has to his dad. So it feels like she's the perfect person to sort of join them and kind of bring this lesson of LJ's blood, you know, of Jack's blood kind of home. And I love like Nathan kind of knowing instinctively
Yeah.
like what was needed because it kind of just shows like how much they bonded over like the summer as a family in Keep
Hmm.
Fullerton. So we didn't get to see that, but him knowing instinctively her place in this and how she's needed kind of is just showing that bond that we didn't get to see, but how it's formed as like a family unit for them.
And the fact that I mean, that's multiple times now that he's reached out to her. That's
Hmm.
really establishing that that relationship is going to be there as well, which I think is just an added gift.
It's just like LG's family is not changing, it's growing.
Yeah.
And I think we're just kind of showing that it's like, you know, you can have a family that's they all have pieces and I love that. Like my, you know, my family's like that. We have step parents and, you know, like people that have come in and it just grows and everybody has a place. We're not replacing anyone, we're adding people.
So talk about the idea to bring in new things that Elizabeth didn't even know about Jack in this episode. We've got the school plans that she had never seen. We've got the plays that we didn't know Jack was a part of with Rosemary, the letter that Charlotte brings. What did that allow her to process emotionally?
I think this is her in this place of just like we were talking about her, the joy that she gets to feel now. Like she gets to kind of learn these new things and it's not sad of something she didn't know. It's like it's again, it's an add. It's an
Yeah.
added joy. It's like her memories can grow. Her, like the way Jack is alive for her is still there. She still gets to learn about him, hear about him, find new things about him. So it's like exactly in practice what Elizabeth tells LJ, which is, you know, that it's memories and these shared memories are what are going to keep him alive for us and keep him real for us. And then we get to see it in practice for her too. And Aaron just plays it so beautifully and like just yeah, in this like quiet, grateful joy. And it's just yeah, like I loved watching. It was so captivating watching her play it.
Yeah, captivated is a great word.
Yeah.
I hadn't thought of that word, but I would definitely agree that I was just caught up in it and just watching just her subtle moves throughout. Yeah, that's a good word for
Yeah.
it. And then also, so we always know, we hear from writers that you guys write so much, and a lot of times things get cut. Not a lot of times, things get cut. One
Yeah.
of the next moments in the episode, we get to see LJ and his grandma interact over fish. And so in the grand scheme of things, it would have been possibly one of those scenes that could have gotten cut. But why was it so critical for them to have that moment?
We just really wanted to show a moment of Charlotte and LG bonding. We just
Yeah.
like it just we just felt like, you know, we had so much of they supposed to have spent the summer together. Now they have this bonding and just again, she's that blood connection to his dad. And, you know, when we last saw Charlotte, we haven't seen her like we didn't see her processing Jack's death. And when we saw her in season three, her biggest fear was losing her son. And her
Yeah.
biggest fear has been realized since we last saw her. And how does that affect her in this person? And we kind of get to see her in this place that she's all right and she's
Yeah.
good and she sees it and she sees this like legacy, this beautiful part of her son that gets to live through her grandson. And just making sure, yes, it's a quiet moment, but just a lot's happening kind of between the scene of that moment. I also I like it in the tiny moment that you know we see that maybe LJ isn't
I
the
loved
best
it.
fish cleaner. So even though he's like his dad, there's parts of him that are like his mom too. Like
Yes. I loved it. He's like, hey, can I just go do my homework?
Oh, even homework's better than this, you know?
This has got to be better than the fish.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm so glad that that moment was kept in there because just like those are things that, we have to kind of a lot of times when they're in Cape Fullerton, we kind of have to
Mhm.
imagine what happened over the summer that
Yeah.
brought them so close together. So to see these little connections, I think is always a gift for us to be able to have those opportunities.
Well, and you kind of said it, and I'm so glad you noticed it. Like this episode, in a way, is a bit of an interlude. It's there's little, it's momentum, but it's like slow momentum, and even it all sort of happens over like a day or two of things, and we're just sort of in like one little stretch of time,
Mhm.
and because we're in like a tinier stretch of time, where it's not like a week's passing by through the episode, we can actually live in these quiet moments,
Mhm.
and we can show kind of maybe the big moves and the big changes that happen in the quiet moments. So, yeah.
Okay, I want to come back to the end of the episode, but let's shift back to we've got Lucas who steps away from the campaign planning again.
Hmm.
Um, and it's like like you said, he hears from her, he realizes what's happening in him. So I'm curious, is he being drawn toward a different kind of work? Or was this simply like he gets up from the meeting, he bails on the conversation about the campaign. He's like, I'm out of here. He doesn't even shut the door. He's like, I'm
I
out of
know.
here. Right. So is this about Edie, or is he really like there's something happening in him that maybe the work that he needs to be doing is different?
I think he's still figuring that out a little bit. And like that is like you're kind of onto something that's growing into like a theme that's going to come up in the next couple episodes. And the fact that he's trying to figure out who is he
Yeah.
and how is who he's realizing he is going to come across in like the job he's doing as governor and with the campaign and all this. So yeah, it's the start of that realization, I think.
Okay, so I have to address a couple of props that show up with Edie and Lucas, and we've got the glasses and we've got the vest. And so we see, is this the first time we've seen Edie without the glasses on?
I Yes, but I will say that was Martin Wood's choice. You'll have to ask him because it was unscripted, but a great choice. Like it was so nice to sort of see her in
Yes.
that. Like, like we got to see. It's funny because it when we were first talking about this and Joy was like, "Can we put them on the phone? Like, is that going to come through?" And I was like, "I feel like it's Nora Ephron away. Like Nora Ephron always did these phone calls, and because the phone was separating them, there was like this vulnerability that we got always got to see with her characters." And I was like, I think it can be that. Like, I think we can maybe let them go a little farther than maybe they would if they were face to face because they have that separation of the phone. It
Mhm.
feels like a little bit of a safety net. So
Mhm.
these kind of more guarded characters that have been guarding their hearts can be a little more honest, a little more open, a little more vulnerable with each other because there's that divide. So
Mhm.
we got to play with that a bit for this
And
episode.
they nailed it. I'm telling
So
you,
good.
how you can have chemistry like that through a phone call. I'm like, these
I would
two.
be so interested if you end up interviewing them about how that process, because even watching the dailies of it, I was like, really, like they're just so it's so good. It's a really just so well done. So yeah, hats off to Miranda and Chris and Martin for just pulling that off.
Well, and then, yeah, we had them on, both of them, for the podcast junket, so they couldn't get too far in the season to talk about
Yeah.
it. If we get the opportunity, I'm definitely going to go there. Um, and then we have a moment where Lucas loses the vest again. Now, granted, he's pulled an all-nighter, so maybe
Mm.
that's why there's no vest. But I'm choosing to believe that the glasses and the vest are playing into all of it. That's my own story that I'm going with. And I'm gonna say Martin Wood, thank you very much.
Yeah, yeah, that was his choice. And I think just you sort of feel this. You feel this it like the walls are coming down, the
Yeah.
guard, the separation, between them.
Okay, I don't want to get away from pairings without talking about the idea of Rupert and Opal coming together to design the school. So, how did you guys land on that partnership?
I can't remember who exactly. I think it was Max who was like when we first started talk like when Rupert first came in and we were talking about counterparts from his first first introduction, Opal came in and we were like, I think they'd be fun. I think they'd be kind of fun. Like they're just different
Yeah.
enough, but they kind of
Yeah.
would complement each other.
Yeah.
And yeah, so I think it was Max that first suggested it. And I'm just really glad that we got to finally see it kind of come to fruition in this episode because we talked about it a lot, but possible ways that we could have them cross and how that might be fun. And then when this storyline came forward, we're like, oh, this is the perfect way to kind of see how they interact because their personalities are like they're both very particular in their own ways, but it kind of works for the other one.
And I think it worked even more on the heels of the way we saw this new version of Opal in 8. And now
Oh, I
it's,
love her in 8. I just think it like she made me laugh so much. Yeah,
I still laugh at the line that Fernando had about the angry senorita.
I know. I also love when she's like, "We get an apple box for the writer," and then Elizabeth goes, "It's so Mrs. Thornton to you." It's so good.
Or the line, so many good lines in that one. But when Rosemary's asking Elizabeth about is she always like this, and she's like, I think she kind of blends in with the
Definitely
herd.
noticeable in a herd. Yeah. That shout out to Liam Fernley because
I
that
know.
episode was so good. Yeah. We watched it again because first on Super Channel in Canada, they always air the previous episode right before the last episode. So
Yeah.
we watched it again. My mom was still laughing at jokes. Like she saw it last week
Yeah.
and she's watching it again laughing like as hard as she did the first time. So yeah, shout out that episode was really fun.
Oh, so good. And I think it was really paired well with this one. It just gives
Yeah.
us that range of, when calls the heart, and that we can swing in the direction of, the comedy that they can all bring and then get into, this different
Tug at your
realm.
heart, warm your heart, laugh your heart up. Yeah.
Yeah. All the versions of the heart.
Yes.
Okay, another pairing that we love that we didn't know we needed is Allie and Oliver. And so we've missed them, the last few episodes, but they're back in this episode. Allie goes and enlists Oliver's help and really leans on him to help her come up with a story that she can write for LJ. So, how did you choose, first of all, which case Allie would write about? And are we planting some term, maybe some type of a long-term seed for writing for Allie?
Yeah. Yeah, I think this scene kind of we got to do a lot of things with it because they got to sort of highlight Oliver and Allie and what they have in common and how well they work together, and also sort of like the ways they connect to each other that other people wouldn't with like their families, like their biological parents and their past and stuff, and then that kind of deepens it. Um, but yeah, it's like a little bit also of like a different side of Allie of just kind of exploring. We saw her, she's a few seasons ago, we kind of got to see her sort of explore poetry that deepened. Then she bonded with Oliver over poetry. She was writing for the school guide. She's kind of just like moving forward in like how she expresses herself. And she got to do that for LJ. This is how she's showing up for LJ. Um, so yeah, I think yeah, it is a bit of a seed because it's not even a seed, it's like a sprout of a seed we've
Oh yeah.
already sort of planted with her. So we'll see what happens with that sprout, but right now it is sprouting, I think.
Yeah.
Um, as for the case, like we talked about a few. Like this was another great opportunity of getting to kind of walk down memory lane and see um what we could pick. And we chose the Tolliver Gang, I think, because it's just so recognizable to the Hearties. Has that amazing moment with the tablecloths,
Mhm.
and Abigail was involved, and Julie was involved, and Elizabeth was involved. But it also just like in the moment sort of just felt like a story that a 6-year-old would like. Like
Uh-huh.
it's fun and like it's kind of daring, but it's not too dangerous. And yeah, you're like his dad faked out that there was a ton of Mounties, but it was really just his dad being like, I hope this works. I'm using tablecloths against an outlaw gang. Um, so yeah, I think it's like just a fun side that shows like insight into how Jack was as a Mountie and in a way that would be enjoyable for a 6-year-old to read.
And even, in that moment, I haven't really thought about this, but Nathan has said he doesn't know a lot about Jack. And even in those moments, he's learning about who this Mountie was that was there before him. So that's something interesting to watch too.
Yeah, totally. Like it's just kind of seeing how they are alike and how they're
Mhm.
different.
Yeah, yeah. So we get a great moment where Allie gets to read her story to Charlotte and Elizabeth, and it becomes a gift, not only LJ, but also to Charlotte. So can you talk about the decision to kind of give that gift back to Charlotte as well and bring her
Yeah.
into that moment?
Well, yeah, like it's kind of like I was saying, like we don't really get into it with Charlotte in this episode in this visit, but in her first season, we hear a lot about her hesitation about Jack being a Mountie because her husband, Jack's dad, was a Mountie as well. He was injured and killed in duty. And so we kind of see her growing that like now that even though it's kind of come to pass for her, she knows Jack's spirit and that he was meant to be a Mountie. And like she hears Allie's story and then her response to it lets her get to articulate that and see that growth. So in that way, it's like showing kind of like a closure for her with Jack, her
Yeah.
son. Um, but it's also just showing this with the book and kind of taking that on as well. It's showing this insight she has into Allie and this bond they have and how she knows Allie in this way. So yeah, like again, this growing family that Charlotte's family is growing too. Like she lost a son, but she's also kind of gaining Nathan and Allie into her family as well, and they're filling up her heart. So we get to see kind of all that happening in this moment that that they get to share too. Like Charlotte brings in her own sort of spin on what Jack did for like for Elizabeth and what she does for Allie. And so yeah, it's just fully kind of integrating them, like Charlotte is fully integrating them into her family as well.
Um, I hadn't even thought about this, but I want to go back to that letter. Like, can you
Mhm.
talk about deciding what was going to go in that letter?
Yeah, that we Joy and I talked a lot about that and kind of having we really wanted it to be obviously the closure for little Jack, like right from when we first started talking about the episode, we talked about the line of, you're the greatest medal of honor. That was like the theme. We knew we were going to get to that. And obviously a letter from Jack that kind of, in a way, allowed him to express this desire because little Jack never got to have his dad tell him anything. So this is like a small way that he can feel so wanted by his dad.
Yeah.
And it's like there it is in black and white in print. Like whenever he feels like a doubt, he has his dad's own words. So a letter that Charlotte brings is really important in that way because it yeah, and that came from Joy. So Joy was like, I think it's important for him to have it physically, not just a story, not in a phone call, not something that Charlotte relays, something that Charlotte can give him, that he
Mm-hmm.
can have like tangible
Mm-hmm.
feeling proof of it, because that for him is more than the medal he lost.
Yeah.
So that was really important. But it also got to kind of give us a couple other things too, because it got to let us explore a romantic side of Jack that wanted a wife and
Mhm.
thought of this life that he was going to have, and also shows us it's like a joyful moment because all of Jack's dreams came true.
Yeah.
Like
That's so true.
yeah, it's not like in this like oh it was like a robbed life. No,
Mm-hmm.
every dream he had came true.
Mm.
So we can honor his life because he was happy.
Yeah.
And so that was the important part of what the letter was. And it gave that closure
Yeah.
for everyone, including Elizabeth.
So you mentioned the word closure. And
Yeah.
and so I'm curious, like, I mean, I think that we've clearly established that he has left a legacy on this
Yeah.
community. Do you think going forward that we will continue to hear those moments from Jack? Is it important to keep that alive, or is it important to shift? And I think that there's always this, what is that balance, moving forward?
I think he will always be mentioned because he's always going to be Jack, like little Jack, LJ's dad.
Yeah,
So obviously he's always going to be mentioned. It's kind of like Allie's mom. Like
yeah,
there are moments where Allie talks about her mom and the moments with her mom, and like Nathan lets that be, and it's just part of it. It's um I was saying too, like channeling sort of Abigail in season one, where she talks about Noah and how he just feels like this character, and there's things that will come up and that she shares, and Clara, when with Clara, where she talked about Peter. And there's, they had these moments, and they're not all the time. It's not like it's always on them, but it kind of gives permission to be like, this can exist in our
Yeah.
family, and it
Yeah.
will exist in our family, but in a happy way.
Yeah.
What it closes is some of the sadness, and in that way, it allows just like these moments of joy that can pop in when they naturally pop in. Because I think after time, with time in grief, that's that's the best way. That's when you feel
Hmm.
when you're healing, that it
Hmm.
just comes in this like grateful, joyful moments. And
Yeah.
so, yeah, he'll come up, and because he's LJ's dad, and
Yeah. Yeah.
everyone's like, we can bring him up and we can talk about him. It can be
Mhm.
this way, but it's going to be in this happy way.
Absolutely.
And
And
so, yeah,
not
that's what I think it
awkward,
opens the door
not
for. Yeah.
awkward, but just totally, it's okay. And why
Yeah.
not? Let's
It's,
celebrate it.
it's okay. It's natural. It'll come up as it needs to come up.
Yeah.
And, but it can be in this like very happy, healthy, just joyful way.
Yeah. And I'm so glad that line was so powerful about, you being your dad's greatest medal of honor. And I don't want to take away from that because that was a very powerful moment. I got off from watching it again, and there were still people going, is he going to find the medal? Is he going to find the medal? And I'm like, but that's not what it was about. But still, we're always wondering, so is he going to find the medal?
I mean, I can only say he didn't find the medal in this episode.
Okay. Who knows,
So
right?
who knows? Yeah.
But he is his dad's greatest medal of honor, which
Well,
was
yes, he doesn't need the medal
he
anymore.
doesn't. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so I maybe was reading into this. First of all, sh we have at the end where little Jack, well, LJ starts reading the book that is written. I'm curious to get your take on watching that whole thing play out because even the way that Hyland reacted as he's reading the story and the dynamic in that room, it was amazing. It was so fun to watch and see Hyland play out that excitement that LJ had when he had that book. What was your reaction to seeing that moment?
I was so excited to see the book, to be honest. Like I wanted to see it too. And um I just thought, it's this memory that even like as fans we have. So it's just a cool new take on this like legacy, this memory that exists, because now even when you go back and watch that episode, this can live with it too,
Yeah,
in kind of a fun way. But Highland completely just knocked it out of the park this episode.
blew me
Every
away.
they like he just had the entire run of emotions, and like he's I mean, he's been just fantastic since he joined the show. Like so great. Like I mean, he's like 7 years old and he's like so talented. I'm like, I'm a slacker. Oh my gosh. Um, but just seeing that because he did everything in this episode all the way through, I was just, yeah, he just sold every moment. It was so good. And yeah, like not to even just like put him on the spot, but he didn't have a ton of time because we shot these episodes out of order because we
Yeah,
shot the Charlotte scenes at a different time. All of them were kind of like we
yeah.
block shot them
When you
together
have her. Yeah,
when we had her just for her scheduling. So, Hyland was kind of acting out scenes from this episode when he hadn't had the whole episode or the whole script. So it's incredible any actor doing that. Like props to every single actor in
yeah,
this episode that did that. Um, but him as well, because he's kind of playing even without the full context of everything he has and just really selling it. So props to him, props to Martin again, just for like kind of bringing that emotion from him.
Mhm.
But yeah, just so incredible. Because you just felt like a little family moment with them that you got to have. And it's really nice because we got a little bit of it at the beginning of the premiere, but this is the first time we really get to sort of see the real bond
Yeah.
that kind of came. Like even that little moment of her saying it's the best chicken a la king she ever had. And Allie's like, didn't you say it's the first time you ever had? Like that little, it just it feels like a real family. Like you're in a natural family's dinner.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he like I just started immediately when I was watching that episode and watching how well he delivered it. And I'm thinking he's 7 and we've got season 14 coming up and thinking about what he's going to do as long as this show keeps going. I'm like, the talent and those moments meant for him, I'm like, this is really exciting and
Yeah, I
heartfelt at the
mean,
same time.
it's some of the best things, like even Jada, seeing Jada from how she started in season
I
6 and
know.
growing up on the show to like the storylines that she can carry now. It's like yeah, it's just all the kids. Like that's something that's just kind of amazing with the show going on so long is you're seeing actors grow from some of them like childhood growing into these like phenomenal actors
Mhm.
and their skills just improve every season. And yeah, it's just again an embarrassment of riches.
It's got to be one of the best training grounds, right?
Yeah. And I mean, look at who their
Their
acting partners
mentors.
are. Yeah.
Yeah.
All these amazing, our cast is just so incredible and they're just bringing it every day to set and these kids get to watch and get a front row seat. What better way to learn?
So at the end of the episode, the book is being read. Nathan catches that Allie is the one who's written it. And just watching his mannerisms in that seat. And I saw it a few other times, and maybe I'm dreaming this up, but it was like he was just sitting in those moments
Hmm.
and nothing bold, just taking it all in. So, and would you say that that was him just like being present, but kind of letting it all happen? Or does he have things going on in his mind as he's watching all of this play out?
I mean, I think he does obviously have things on his mind. We all saw the promo.
Yeah.
Um, but I think even more than that, he's seeing it's the same way LJ's family is growing, Allie's family is growing.
Mhm.
These
Mhm.
people that care about her, Charlotte, Elizabeth, they're seeing these parts of her, they're fostering
Mhm.
these passions of hers and helping her grow. Like there was a long stretch of time where it was just the two of them.
Yeah.
And it's like he actually can sit back and
Mhm.
see like it actually makes me feel like a little like, oh my gosh, like he can sit back because he there's other people there for her too. He's not
Yeah.
everything to her, like in a good way. She
Yeah.
has, he's been everything to her for because he had to be. And now other people can fill that in as well, and he can enjoy it and watch it and just see her family and her life expand as well.
Taking it all in. I mean, it's almost like I even remember when Allie goes running up with LJ to give Charlotte the hug, and it was
Yeah.
just natural that they both went and what had happened in Cape Fullerton, and it's almost like that Allie has gained another grandma as well.
Yeah. No, totally. And you kind of just see it in this like this great way that like when they made that split, like they made that decision, like we're going with you.
Yeah.
And it was like they don't care what they're giving up, like and what they're leaving behind. But it's also showing they gained this like family unit by being there. So we got to really see that be in like full frontal display here. So
Okay, I want to swing back one more time to Lucas and
mhm.
Edie because we've kind of left them. We know some things are coming. We've got a little bit coming up in the next episode as well. So, um, Lucas admits that he should have followed his heart, but Edie doesn't fully meet him there this time. So, we're back to this again. So, what would you say when she doesn't respond the way he thinks? What is holding her back, and how much does she really understand about his past with Elizabeth?
I think we got to see Lucas be pretty honest in episode 8, like and about how he has this past. It's made him sort of afraid of and guarded, and I think she's understanding that. She understands where he's coming from. But I think it also, in a way, she's guarding her heart a little bit as well because she needs to know that he's truly ready. And I think maybe from this episode she's starting to think he could be, but she doesn't know for sure yet. So she
Hmm.
doesn't want to get her heart broken either, or
Hmm.
take this step when he's not ready and then the moment be ruined. So I think that's where she's waiting. She wants to know he's ready. And I think that's what she's waiting for.
Maybe this is where they don't need to be on the phone, right? Maybe they need
Yeah.
to be. But we do get a little bit of Lee not letting it go. Lee suggests that there may still be time with Edie. So, what can you tease about where they might go?
Where there's still time, there's still 3 episodes. So you'll just have to watch those 3 episodes, but you can be assured that there will be Lucas and Edie to see.
It's coming.
Hmm.
Okay, so and a fantastic episode, one of the best ever on this series. I'm telling you, Allie, it
Oh my
was, and
gosh.
I'm sure you have seen that in the comments, just people just so emotional after because it hit so many things in such little bitty ways that they didn't have to be pronounced and big and grandiose, but it just all of these little things that were happening. So I'm curious for you as the writer, what was the biggest challenge for you in writing this episode?
This is always the challenge for all of us, which is fitting the stories into 42 minutes.
Yeah.
Like we always want to go big and just making sure. I mean, I think it makes us savor every moment in a way to make sure, like, is this moment really, do we need it? Is it selling our story? But yes, especially this episode, having everything that we needed to say and everything that we wanted to fit into 42 minutes was like, this is hard. Um, so I even talked with Martin about it at the wrap party because then he's trying to edit everything into 42 minutes.
Yeah.
So it's the same problem.
Yeah.
But yeah, just kind of making sure that it's going to fit into the time period, but say everything we wanted to say because we all knew and I knew taking this episode on and that it was an important one, even if it was quietly important.
Hmm.
So yeah, it was a lot of um yeah, a lot to fit in, but I'm so glad that it landed and that we were able to say what we needed to say. So once again, team effort of everyone kind of coming together to make sure that every moment counted. But that was it. Yeah, squeezing it all in.
Well, and I will say in this season, especially, and I've heard this comment over and over and over again, that there are not wasted minutes in this season. Not that there are ever wasted minutes, but sometimes, there are comments where people will say, well, we're not sure why that story or why that story. I'm not hearing that this season. So that is
Joy has a great mind
an
in that way
amazing
that she sort of
accomplishment.
thinks like an editor. Like when we're talking about scenes and like when we send our like as a writer, we send our first draft obviously to the showrunner. They come in and Joy's notes are always like very good. Like of like if she's feeling like I don't know if this scene is selling the way we need it to sell. Do we need to cut it? And you're
Yeah.
like, if you feel like okay, do we need this scene? And if you're like, oh wow, no, I want to fight for this scene, you're like, well, then I'm not proving myself. I need this scene needs to prove itself.
Yeah.
And so she's really good at, she just has a great, I learned a lot from watching her in that way, that she just has like a natural mind of that.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, shout out to Joy.
Shout out to Joy. Okay, favorite moment, and I don't know how you're going to pick one. Favorite moment for you in this episode?
It's so hard. I mean, can I say the Charlotte moment?
You can say whatever
In
you want.
in a way, they all of them, because I just like I said, just seeing kind of we didn't really get to see her journey. So it's like we had to pack a lot of how she was and how she became into like these
Hmm.
little scenes. So that
Hmm.
was really kind of a fun challenge.
Yeah.
And obviously, just as like a longtime fan, it was so exciting to get to write for Charlotte. So yeah, that was some like very deep favorite moments. I also, I just love Charlotte eavesdrop or Florence eavesdropping
Yeah.
too because I want to do that like that. I'm so nosy, but I hold it back. But I just wish that I could live like Florence for like a day and just fully not even care and just eavesdrop and be like, what's happening? What are you saying? Let me hear this phone call. So just in Florence, just being herself entirely and just being her nosy self that I wish I could be. That was the the other side. That's yeah,
And
the fun
committing
moment.
to it. She stays up all night.
She has her little cozy like
Yes.
setup with her blanket and her tea sandwich. That came from Joy too. That Joy's like, you know what? What if she's unwrapping a sandwich here? I'm like, I
Yes.
love it. I love what unwrapping a sandwich sells, which is I'm in. I'm gonna be here all night. Love it.
And then the icing on the cake is when Ned shows up and says, this is not one of your romance novels. And she just like goes right back to it.
She's like, mm-hmm.
Yeah. You're like, but I can't give it up. I have to
Yeah.
know.
I mean, always like just Florence and Ned. I love them as characters, and like Loretta and Rothgar. They just sort of even though it's so tiny. It's like very small moments. If you actually put it together, I think it's like a 2 minutes, like of what we see of Florence and Ned in this little exchange. But it just powerful, packs a
It's
lot of
so
punch, those little
good.
moments.
It's
Yeah.
so good. It's you guys, you talked about the abundance of riches, but your secondary cast, I'm just like,
Oh,
oh my word.
yes, we're so like literally we're so every scene they're like yeah, we're so lucky. It's just amazing. Again, trying to fit everything in 42 minutes. I wish we had more.
Yeah.
I wish
Yeah.
there were 90 minutes.
Yeah. We do too.
Yeah.
Everybody write to Hallmark, 90 minutes,
Yeah.
please.
Yeah.
All right, we've got three more episodes. So, what can you tease about anything about what's ahead?
I not too much. I have to be really careful, but I feel like what I can say is like all the moments you've been waiting for. So many moments.
All of
Like
the moments.
yes, these moments that you're like, ah, I hope they do that. I hope they can pull this off. I hope yes.
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 Positively, yes.
So positively, yes. These are just there's still so many good, happy, celebratory moments to come.
Okay.
So
We're gonna sit in the happy and the positive and all of them.
yes. I mean, there's still, and I will say there's still some,
We've got a
we still have
trial
a,
coming up. We know we've got a
yeah,
trial coming up.
we still have to fully solve this.
Yeah.
So so we have that coming up and there, yeah, there's a trial. We have some big moments, but there's so many happy moments to come. So
Good.
yeah,
I'm excited. And
me
I
too.
mean, I can't think about the fact that we only have three more episodes and then we're waiting a whole nother year. But goodness sakes, I'm excited for the last three episodes.
It's been so nice to just to know that we're renewed though through the whole season.
Already dreaming. Are you watching? And as you're watching, dreaming of season 14, like things.
I was already texting Joy about it in December.
Yeah.
So yeah, I can't turn it off. I mean, we leave the writer's room every season with next season. Here's like some things to jump off with.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Here's my pitch. Nathan needs his mom in Hope Valley, and I know who it should be. There's my pitch. Not that I have
Mm.
any experience in casting at all, but
And well, I want to know who it should be.
I've got the perfect person. I think it needs to be. Do you know who Jennifer Wigmore is?
Oh yes, I do. Yeah.
Yeah. She was Kevin's first acting coach in college.
Oh whoa.
She fits the part. If you've watched
Mm.
any of her projects, I'm like, Jennifer, and I've pitched it to her. I'm like, you need to be Nathan Grant's mom. And she was like, put me in, coach.
Mm.
So
Pass that along to Joy when you talk to her.
check that one out. Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
sold. I mean, I've literally processed height, mannerisms, all of it. It fits.
Amazing.
And the funny part that I had no idea as I'm processing this, the finding out that she was his acting coach after the fact.
Oh, this came after.
After the fact.
Wow.
It's
Yeah, you'll
we
have to
talked about
pass this.
kismet. We talked about kismet.
Yeah, you pass this along to Joy. I'm sure you'll talk to her with the episodes coming up. But
Yeah.
yeah, pass it along.
Okay, well, this has been a blast. I am so glad, Allie, that you were able to make some time to talk about episode 9. Congratulations to you. I mean,
Thank you so
reading
much.
all of the comments, what an amazing episode. I'm excited to see what's coming. And season 14, goodness, you guys are already, creating ideas. So thank you so much for taking us behind the scenes and giving us one more opportunity to celebrate this episode.
Thank you so much for having me again. And yeah, again, third time's the charm, maybe.
That's right.
But
That's
thanks.
right.
Yeah, thanks
I
for
think
having
that's my
me.
record now. So you are there tied with my people that have been on three times. So you're at
Oh
the top of
wow.
the list, Allie.
We'll have to get jackets like on SNL when they host 5 times.
Yes. Oh, like was it The Voice that they would give out jackets if you're like on the team? So I'll
Mm.
just, yeah. All right. Well, thank you so much, Allie.
Of course, yeah, thank you so much.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.